the financial crisis is not just limited to Europe. It is definitely here in the United States of America, but the light is currently shining on the Europeans. And in Europe, the Europeans are the originators of socialism. And, Margaret Thatcher, I think, said it eloquently. The problem with socialism is that ultimately you run out of other people's money. You can't retire at 52 on the public pension if you're a Greek. That's not going to last forever. Nobody can. In Italy, you had cab drivers the union limiting via the government the amount of cab driver licenses that could be there. So the cabbies had nice salaries, but the populace had to pay exorbitant cab fares. This is all falling by the wayside as we speak. It is the death of socialism. The problem is that Europe is so far behind the monetary curve, it's hopeless. And let's not make a mistake here. This is not a bailout of governments. This is a bailout of banks that has to take place in Europe that made bad bets, bad investments, buying the debt of historically poor European creditors. And I believe the European Central Bank was largely set up at the behest of the banks. And this whole integration in Europe was really for the behest of the banks because, like the Federal Reserve in the United States, in my opinion, central banks were fundamentally created to backstop the big banks in case they lose. They get to socialize their losses and privatize their gains. And by socializing their losses, that's when they get bailed out. It happened in 2008. You have the subprime mortgage crisis. You have bad credit card debt. You have bad student loan debt that was packaged into debt instruments or bonds or notes, whatever you want to call them, by these big banks. A lot of them invested in these things, and they then collapse. And who gets to bail them out? Well, the Federal Reserve enlarged its balance sheet by $2 trillion, i.e. printing government bonds, printing money to buy U.S. government bonds, then swapping that supposed high-quality debt for garbage debt on the bank's balance sheet. And the great thing is that same year, certain banks who were beneficiaries in some way, shape, or form of those bailouts, paid record bonuses. So I don't know how much longer this can go on, and I think ultimately the jig is up. But the jig is most certainly up in Europe, and when the light shines back on the United States, here we go. As we also have recently seen several big-name banks get ratings downgrades once again.